on that note, I want to say good night, and I hope you enjoyed this dialogue.
Good evening, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Cambodia Global Dialogue of Southeast Asia TV. Tonight, I have once again the pleasure to have my very good friend, Ambassador from India, Dinesh Patnaik, to come and have a nice dialogue with me, and on a topic that is quite interesting. It's happening in India in next month. It happened in Cambodia a few months ago. It's about democracy, about election, the impact on the economy, and how country move on. And I think it'd be good, to have a perspective from I wouldn't say an outsider, because Ambassador is here quite a while already, so he's quite seasoned on the Cambodian political scene. But let's move on to have this discussion. Ambassador, my good friend, welcome.
No, thank you. We had an excellent dialogue last time, and I hope to continue the same dialogue.
I have feedback from people. They say that you are a great historian. Yeah, you know in and out the historical perspective on Cambodia, on India, and Cambodia and India.
No,
it's
thank you.
Interesting.
No, for me the main thing is I love Cambodia.
Yes.
I really like this country. I like the people. I like the climate. I like the food. I like everything about this country. So for me, anything you like, you want to learn more.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of learning, again, that's a feedback. We have a lot of feedback from our last discussion.
I also got a lot of feedback.
Knowledge, and I can't help but referring to what you mentioned last time. You say about, but India provide technical technology transfer, 1,000 years ago. Interesting.
We're still doing it.
You're still doing it. Yes, no, but it's interesting in the context of, say, democracy, general election. Cambodia went through this last year, mid of last year. We still, try to find a solution now. India will go through general election soon, right?
We should be having it in April or May.
Okay.
It is the largest election in the world.
Yes, indeed.
In 2009, when we had our last elections, there were 714 million voters.
714 million.
So this time probably we will have about 750 million voters.
My God.
Almost 1 million polling booths.
My God.
And about 1.5 million electronic voting machines.
Electronic
voting machines.
Interesting.
And the people needed to do this election, about 5 million people. You just need those people
You need 5 million staff
to conduct the election for 750 million people. It's huge. Even I myself, being an Indian, sometimes I'm amazed at the scale of what the elections are. It's huge. It's huge. But I'm proud that we do it very well.
Yes.
There is, of course, sporadic violence, there are other issues, but elections as such, since the time we have become independent till today, elections have been held regularly, fairly, freely, transparent manner. And if you really look at the history, you're telling me about history, since the Second World War, after the fall, all countries which became independent, we are the only country which has consistently stayed democracy. There is no other country.
No other country.
Every other country has gone through either some coup, some military, some authoritarian rule, but nobody has consistently stayed a democracy after the second. Those countries which became independent after the Second World War.
What's the lesson learned? How?
Well, it's something which has got into the people. Democratic traditions are difficult to imbibe.
Yes.
But it needs two things. It needs institutions, it needs leaders.
Okay.
Leaders who believe in democratic traditions, and they set up institutions which continue the democratic traditions. And democratic traditions are, how to define. The International Parliamentary Union has taken out a list of criteria for what constitutes democratic traditions. And essentially adherence to some of the international laws, which is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the International Covenant on Political and Civil Rights. There are certain guidelines. And countries get together to decide on what guidelines to follow or not follow. But at the end of the day, each country has its own way of dealing with things. There will be always people who will say this is not the right way. There will be people who will say this is the right way. But essentially at the end, democracy is a process.
It's a process. It's you touched the heart of it.
And it's a process which keeps on changing.
Yes.
Like Churchill said,
yes,
it's the worst system in the world except that there is no other better. Essentially, it's a system which constantly keeps on reviewing itself.
Yes.
And you have to constantly keep on seeing how it suits your current situation.
Yes.
Many of our laws, I find, have been set up at a time when the country was in a different situation. When the country changes, the laws have to change.
Agree.
Same we have done. We have over the years graduated from normal system to electronic voting system, and today we have something called a paper trail, voter verifiable paper trail, which means that you vote electronically, but there is also a paper trail which shows you whether the voting has been done in the right pattern or not.
Wow.
So, you know, there are a lot of innovations happening.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's the confidence of the people.
Yes.
That if I am fighting in elections or if I'm in elections, am I being fairly treated?
Yes. Exactly.
As long as the people have the confidence, that is it.
Yes. And you know, linking to the confidence level, it's a whole issue of political stability, and behind political stability is a whole issue on how the country can sustain its economic growth, you know, to generate enough stability for the next round of election. Because at the end of the day, it's a circle. Whether it's vicious or virtuous, it is a circle.
See, stability is a chimera.
Yeah.
You can have stability till today, and today something will happen and it will become completely unstable.
Yes.
Stability is we should not look for stability. What you should look for is a stable process.
Stable process.
In which
there's a difference between stability and stable process.
In which both sides, both or the multiple sides. In this country you have two sides today. Many countries like India, we have more than 100 political parties.
You're kidding
so you
me.
can't say both sides, you have to say 100 sides.
My.
So the point with it is, everybody has a stake in continuing the electoral process, having a stable process.
Yes.
One cannot say it's only the responsibility of the government. It is the responsibility of all political players to ensure that the country's political process moves in the right direction. If there is any change, there is a process to change, and you have to follow the process. You can be a revolutionary party or you can be a political party.
Yeah.
If you want revolution, you will get a revolution in which everybody suffers.
Yeah.
Cambodia has gone through much more suffering than any other country in the world.
Exactly.
That is the reason, to a large extent, people are afraid of revolutions.
We don't want to vote that vote to come back.
Come back again. So you need a political process. In a political process, you need mature political parties which understand that there is a system.
Yes.
If the system is not working, you work within the system to change it.
Exactly. You touch another good point. Work within the system to change it.
I will give you an example.
Yeah.
Gandhi,
who
many people in this country have know of.
Yes.
And in fact, the opposition parties actually used Gandhi as a training ground for the demonstration.
Yes.
See, Gandhi believed in non-violence.
Yes.
But he believed also in participation. It is not simply about demonstration, it is not simply about going to the people and telling them that something is wrong, or what Gandhi called non-cooperation movement. We will not cooperate with you.
Yeah.
If the British want to rule this country, you rule it, but we will not cooperate with you. If you don't cooperate, how do you rule the country?
Exactly.
You can't rule the country. But we'll do it in a non-violent manner.
Yes.
The point with it is, Gandhi also participated. In 1935 elections, Congress participated. Congress came into the parliament of the British India.
Yes.
And participated in the whole system and tried to make changes from within. The point with it is, nothing stops a political party from demonstrating even after being in the system.
Yes.
So my suggestion to many of the players in Cambodia, which I've been watching very closely, is that there is a system. 1993, we put, the UN put in a system.
Yes.
The system may be flawed and system may be outdated, because it was in 1993, today we are in 2014.
Yeah.
It's a complete 20 years later, system may be outdated.
Yes.
We need changes in the system.
Yeah.
There have been certain political parties, or one political party which has been in power for 20 years.
Yeah.
In India, same, the Congress party was in power till 1977, from 47 to 77, 30 years. Then it changed.
Yeah.
New government came. But that doesn't mean that you break the system.
Yes.
You have to work within the system to change.
Yeah.
And
you cannot, work the system if you're outside.
Yeah, nothing stops you from going to the people after being in the system. Because ultimately you are in the system to represent the people.
Yes,
so you can go and demonstrate, you can go and tell people that this is what is wrong, and you change it.
Yeah.
But a confrontation is not good for the country. And we come back to the same thing that you said before, which is that political stability is important.
Yes.
Not the most important, but important.
It's important.
But most important is stable process.
Yes.
People should see that a process is being followed. Even if both sides have confrontation, they're following a process. But if the confrontation is for the sake of confrontation, then there is no process.
Exactly. To me, at the end of the day, we all strive for growth. We all strive to reduce poverty for the people. But all these things cannot happen in a vacuum.
Yeah. No. There are 2 to 3 things. Economic growth per se is important, but not as important as political stability and political process stability.
Yes.
What this country has up till now has had economic growth, but a large number of people feel they're outside the economic growth.
Yes.
So you're looking at inclusive growth.
Yes.
In fact, the discontentment among the people is because they feel the country has achieved a lot, but some of them have not achieved what they wanted to.
Yes.
This discontentment is everywhere in the world.
Everywhere in the world, yes. Everywhere in the world.
We've just had in India a new political party born about a year back, which has destroyed the old political parties completely in the state of Delhi.
Yes, yes.
It's the Aam Aadmi Party, the Common People's Party.
Yeah.
They have destroyed the old players like Congress, BJP, made them literally and taken off power in Delhi. New party, 1-2 years old, not even 2 years, 1 year old.
Yeah.
Because people are looking for something different. People are looking for change. If the old parties cannot bring in change, new parties will bring in change.
Yeah.
People are discontent everywhere. You look at the Middle East, you look at Europe, you look at everywhere in the world. But the point is, if people are discontent, do you get a revolution which changes the whole system, or do you get a new process which brings out reforms?
Yeah, that's the word. You want to improve gradually. And to me, in the case of Cambodia, let's face it, it's barely a 20-year-old political system that is born out of the UN. So there's a lot of effort been put in. It's not perfect, it's clear, but it has brought stability for Cambodia of the last 20 years. And through this stability, that's why we're able to see growth, a job, everything. I agree with you. Not everybody, has benefit from the growth, but there has been growth. There's been dramatic reduction in poverty. So what we need is, how do you improve? How do you reform? Go one more notch, right? I believe in more incrementalism, one step at a time. This is not a time to revisit the whole thing, but how do you tweak the system so that it becomes slightly better?
You can revisit the whole system also. It does not mean that you cannot. What I'm talking about is not overthrow the system, but work within the system. Everybody knows what is necessary in Cambodia.
Yes.
The ruling party knows, the opposition parties knows. You need electoral reforms.
Yeah.
You need judicial reforms. You need parliamentary reforms. These are the 3 things.
Which the ruling
Everybody
party
agrees.
They agree. They want to do it.
The point with it is, how do you do it?
Yes.
Do you do it by demonstrating on the streets, or do you do it by sitting together and working on the reform process in a transparent manner in which everybody in the country knows what is going on?
I agree.
That is the need of the hour.
Yes.
Then second thing is, when you have a negotiation, which I find very difficult to understand sometimes. Negotiation always has an end game. What are you looking at the end?
Yes.
You should always have an end game which is achievable.
Yes.
No negotiation can work
Yeah.
where you work towards an end game which is not achievable.
Yes.
If the end game of some of the parties is the overthrow of the other party, it cannot succeed.
It cannot succeed.
Whereas if your end game is to bring to this country a stable electoral policy, a stable parliamentary system, a stable judicial process, by doing it, then you negotiate to work for that.
Exactly.
Then you will succeed, because then if you don't succeed, the people will know that the other party has not agreed.
Yes.
Whereas if you say that I shall only negotiate if you go out of power, then the negotiation is prima facie faulty.
I believe that, you know, it's a lot of learning curve, very fast learning curve in the recent months, because as you say, you know, what's your end game? The end game is that you want to improve the life of people. You want to, you know, make a country a more transparent country that you can attract foreign direct investment. You want to have the respect from the world that you are a credible parliamentary system. And you see, the fact that all issue is being, you know, recognized, right, and accept. To be fair to the government, they have been working steadily to that process, but they're working on its own now.
The government also has to take some steps, and they have taken. I completely agree with you.
Yes.
The government has actually behaved very, very well. In fact, let me tell you, I have seen elections across the world. Elections of July 2013 were one of the most peaceful elections I've seen anywhere in the world. The allegations of irregularities, there are allegations of irregularities everywhere. 2004 US elections, even today, today, the same issues, voter list manipulation, putting in people, the same irregularities are asked for. But it's very easy to change it. And very easy to change the electoral system. But if you say that the manipulation is something that needs the change of the government, change of the system, overthrow of the results, then it becomes a difficult thing. So Malaysia, it happened recently. It's happened all over the world. There is no place in the world where there are no allegations of voter irregularities.
And to me, I think that at the end of the day, right, yes, there are irregularities, but let's be real. I mean, if you look at India, you're talking about 700 million, assuming, and you have irregularity for sure, right? But it will never be outcome determinant.
No.
That will totally change, you know, the outcome of the election.
Today, the Secretary of State of the US is John Kerry. Who in 2004 actually lost.
Exactly.
And he accepted his loss the next day. Even though a lot of people said that there were irregularities and you should complain to the... But because that's a tradition of democracy that has gone on in one of the oldest democracies in the world. Same in India. You don't fight. You go and demonstrate outside to tell the people that yes, we have a cause. But you don't go and not join parliament.
Exactly.
You go to parliament, you don't like something, you walk out of parliament. But when you walk out, it's a walkout. It's not...
It's a walkout. Yeah, I agree.
So I think in this country, you need to have greater parliamentary traditions.
From the political system, is that, look, Mr. Parliamentarian, Mr. Minister, please, what are your policy to ensure better road safety for people, right? See, it's nothing to do with politics. But then again, if you are not in the parliament, how can you represent the voice of 1,000 people who daily life is affected by this crazy container, right? So to me, it's a lot of small thing, and it's I don't care about irregularity, because always, but I care. Here I'm speaking as a Cambodian. I care about how my life is affected. You know, will my day-to-day routine be affected by a lack of a good policy? But how can my concern be reflected, be you know, discussed on the floor of Parliament? And again, when you have two parties discussing, you have better result.
Completely.
And that's what people want.
But here, let me be very clear about one thing. Everything is politics.
Okay. In that case, my statement is political then.
At the end of the day, whatever you do is essentially political process. Even economic growth, making policy is politics. And there has to be a confidence among the people that the people who are making the policies are doing it based on our requirements. If there is a feeling that there's only one side to the story, then people are not confident. So it's very important that all sides be represented in the policy making apparatus. In that sense, it is incumbent upon the government to have an opposition, and it is incumbent upon the opposition to be responsible in parliament. Both sides have a great responsibility. If you want good for the people, because this debate is old, do I want economic growth first and then political rights, or do I want political rights first and economic growth? This will never be solved. It's a chicken and egg story. But the most important thing is the people of the country should be confident that my representative is voicing my opinion in the body which makes policy for this country. Once he has that confidence, he will do well. So this country has to have political and parliamentary traditions, and that can only happen with the cooperation of both sides. The government has to make it easy for the opposition to come in. For that you need changes. For example, let me give you, Parliament here does not have a role for the opposition. The laws are such. The opposition, leader of the opposition should get a cabinet rank. When foreign dignitaries come into the country, in any country in the world, they meet the Prime Minister, they meet also the leader of the opposition. It's tradition. So these are changes you have to make within the Parliament. But the government can either make the changes unilaterally or they can make it along with the opposition. And I would prefer that any decision made in Parliament is made with both sides, because then everybody hears the viewpoints. So the opposition, if they need changes in Parliament, need to say that yes, we will come to Parliament, we'll join, but you work with us to change the policies. And that is what is needed today. The more you have confrontation, the reforms that are needed will not happen.
But I would say, I mean, to be fair to the government, I think
they have tried.
They have tried.
I am not saying they have not tried. They have reached out. I have a lot of faith in the Prime Minister and his ability to really. He's a man who literally is like the father of the nation.
I agree.
And it is upon him, incumbent, to make everybody feel they're participating. He's not just the leader of the CPP or the leader of the government. He is the leader of the country.
But the feeling have to be mutually, you know.
You see, there will be always people who will oppose you. But you have to rise beyond that. You cannot.
He reach out, but the other side also have to reach out.
He has to. He, like the father of a house. If you have a recalcitrant child or a recalcitrant daughter, you don't give up on them.
You work with them.
You constantly keep on telling them.
I think that's a good place to bring a closure to our dialogue. It's a good point. It's a good point. We're running out of time. So, my friend, what's your message?
My message is very simple. This is a great country with a great potential, but everybody needs to work together. You cannot have a system. You cannot have a country grow if the country is split into half. Everybody has to work together. It is important for the government to give the necessary system for the things to work, and it is important to the opposition to join in changing the system. And change is required. The vote in July 2013 was for change. Now it depends on who brings in the change.
And I think it's a good point to also highlight historically Gandhi. You have to participate.
You have to participate.
You have to participate.
Gandhi said one thing when they asked him as to why are you participating in a body which belongs to a foreign country. He said, one day when people come to power, I need to have people who know traditions, democratic traditions, parliamentary traditions. You need to go there, you need to participate to show the world what the democratic
and it's a learning process.
It's a learning process.
You know. But if you're outside, you don't participate.
No, you can still be outside while participating. This is what I am not able to understand. Being in parliament doesn't stop you from going to the people on the streets.
Yes, indeed.
This is something I have not. You cannot, if you're constantly on the streets, you are neither there. You have to be at both places. You be in the parliament and you can still go.
I think that's a good point. It's a good point. So let me just say thank you on behalf of the studio and the audience for such a, I would say, you know, timely discussion in the context of Cambodia that democratic is evolving. You know, it's a 20-year-old, you know, reborn, you know, country. We're going through a lot of things. We're learning through things. The UN has brought a lot of things to this country, and I would say after 20 years, I still feel that this country is still, you know, a country that are still, you know, working very hard to bring something good for its people, you know, after all these years of genocide, of difficulty and everything. But at the end of the day, like you say, it's a political process. We need stability in the political process, and it's important that everyone join in to participate. And that's how inclusiveness, not just at the economic level, but at the political level. So I think it's a good place to stop by saying that if you want, you know, to bring inclusiveness to society, one have to have, you know, a contribution. And contribution come not just being in the street, but it's on the floor of Parliament. So on that note, my friend, I thank you for your wisdom, and it's good that you quote Gandhi.
Thank you very much. It is always wonderful discussing with you, and I wish all the success to Cambodia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we're coming to the end, and on a topic that is so vast, so intricate, you know. Some people think democracy is very easy. Just go to the vote, and it's there. You know, it's not true. It's not an easy process. But I must say that up to now, we are learning a lot from the process. Cambodia is still a young, you know, democratic society. We've been brought in to a lot of notion of democracy. Some people mention democracy, they don't know what it means, you know. But at the end of the day, it's still a system that we value, that we want to continue, that we want to nurture. But it's a learning curve that everyone have to actually make effort to improve the system. You know, in the word of an ambassador, you know, the system is there. You know, if you're not happy, it's fine. But you have to get in, you know, to help improve the system for the betterment for the 14, 15 million Cambodians out there who rely on a stable system. Because with a good political system, with good political stability, and only with good stability that you have the time, you know, to focus on economic development. And this is where the life of people will be affected. Without good economic development, you will not have, you know, enough wealth, enough growth to redistribute to those who will never have a chance on their own, you know, to improve their life. So on that note, I want to close with the word participation. You know, be in the government, be in the floor of Parliament. You can be still in the street, but make your voice known, but in a constructive way. In a constructive way. Cambodia cannot afford, you know, to go back. We need to look forward. And on that note, I want to say good night.